Hey, you! Welcome back!
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I hope you're doing well, mate. I really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News. Yes, it's the international break, but I'm squeezing in a Chelsea news there for you. That sounds a bit weird. Today, we're going to be talking about a few things. Enzo looking good. Chelsea looking to sign another Willian, 16-year-old Brazilian sensation, and with Endrick coming on at Wembley dunking on Chelsea, might be nice. Of course, Payet plays tonight as well, so loads of young talent coming to Chelsea. Future's bright. And a journalist further confirming Chelsea are indeed willing to pay the money for Victor Osimhen and that he wants to come to Chelsea. Yeah, that's right. For some reason he wants to come to Chelsea. It's just working out a payment structure with Napoli. We can get into the weeds a little bit more with that. Thanks for joining me, guys. If you want to support the content, you're welcome to. All you got to do is like, subscribe, comment, and if you really are one of my day ones, a GOAT gang member, then share the video. Hey, that'd be nice. Alright then, let's get into it. So, a quick mention on Endrick dunking on Gareth Southgate's England yesterday at Wembley, coming off the bench, scoring the decisive goal that would win the game for Brazil in the friendly. Quite an oddly intense grudge match for a friendly. Of course, there was a bit of loving between Bellingham and his teammates in Rodrigo and Vinny Jr., but generally it was a pretty intense game. Like, Bellingham was getting fouled loads by the Brazilian midfielders. Vinny Jr., though absolutely sensational, was diving in the box, desperate to get a penalty. There was a lot of that. Like, both teams really wanted to win, and of course there was a lot of talk about Endrick before the game. He comes on to score his first senior goal for Brazil, and yeah, it's a bit of a tap-in from a rebound off Vinny Jr., but he nearly scores another right at the end of the game, and it's sensational stuff, really. Feels a little bit like the one that got away, Endrick. Of course, we've got the likes of Kendry Payet and this other kid we're about to talk about in just a moment, but I really do think that Endrick is going to be like the one moving forward as a striker. Do you know what I mean? Like a South American striker, like the big next talent, very, very exciting. But at the same time, Chelsea nearly spent 60 million big ones on this guy, and Chelsea were being heavily criticised for that, so it's a kind of like you can't win situation. He did nearly genuinely join Chelsea, but Real Madrid just paid the money, and he's over there now, so the one that got away. But Fabrizio Romano is talking about another Palmeiras attacking talent, and that is Estevão Willian. Messinho, he's called. He's 16 years old as well, also from Palmeiras. Chelsea are constantly sending their scouts to monitor him and are one of the clubs who are highly interested in signing him. Of course, this is coming from Fabrizio Romano. You're probably wondering, where does this kid play? I had to look it up as well. He's kind of like an attacking midfielder, right winger, second striker. I do wonder, I didn't check if he was right or left footed. If he's another left footer, it's just like, Jesus, we're just going to have so many left footers. Still, a lot of clubs want him. Palmeiras are making it serious peas at the moment. I think he too has got like a 60 million euro release clause. Apparently Brazil are just popping off some absolute incredible talents at the moment. Be interesting to see if we sign him. If we don't, it will also be interesting to see where this young sensation goes, so keep an eye on that one. Before we move on, talk about Victor Osimhen a little bit more, how he'd feature in this Chelsea side and really, really make the difference. Is he worth the wages? Etc, etc. A quick nod to Enzo Fernandez, who had an excellent 45 minutes for Argentina. As you can see, he completed 100% of his long balls, nearly 100% of his ground duels. He made 3 tackles, he was never dribbled past, and of course he scored a goal as well, keeping up his sensational form for Argentina and the world champions, having a reminder of how good Enzo is. And he is really good. Chelsea do have a lot of good young players. It's hard to remember sometimes when you're all languishing in mid-table, but the talent is there and we can all hope it develops together soon. I mean, Enzo's still really young. He feels like one of the older boys, especially when we're chasing more 16-year-olds. But he's still young. Generally, we're doing pretty well over international break at the moment, except maybe Chilwell and Gallagher, who both performed badly in their performance against Brazil. Of course, there was goals from the likes of Enzo and, you know, Cesare Casadei as well. Noni Madueke for the under-21s or the under-23s, whatever it is. A quick word on Gallagher and Ben Chilwell, something that I've been speaking about recently, but I'm going to reiterate it here. I think Chilwell is pretty simple. He's just out of form. We know Chilwell can be an amazing left-back / left wing-back. We've seen it. He's rather unique as well in terms of how offensive he is, making those inside runs. Yes, He was amazing in our Champions League run when we won the competition. He put in despite some people thinking he can't defend, he was amazing defensively in that final against Man City. And of course, we've seen him offensively be very, very good indeed. In fact, he can be transformative on that left flank when in form. But there's absolutely no denying he's not in form. He's been poor for Chelsea lately. He was awful for England. I know Southgate tried to defend him, but for me, it was a bad performance, especially by his standards. Now, I do want to mention Conor Gallagher as well before we move on to Osimhen, because there's been lots of talk about Gallagher recently. Apparently, there has been more talks for a contract at Chelsea, and ultimately, I deem that a good thing, even if I don't see Conor Gallagher necessarily being a starter moving forward for Chelsea. I think he'd be a very, very useful player for any squad. And he genuinely cares. He's a professional. He's always available. Yada, yada, yada. But he's been playing badly in a double pivot. This happened for Chelsea recently, and again for England. Chelsea not being represented well at Wembley yesterday, but I think he had a bad game in the double pivot as well. I was calling for that, by the way, as an England fan. I thought, who to put next to Declan Rice? I don't want Jordan Henderson. I don't want Calvin Phillips. If we're going to play a 4-2-3-1, surely Gallagher's a good shout, and obviously Bellingham's going to be in the number 10. But he played bad in a double pivot for Chelsea, and he played bad in a double pivot for England. And maybe as time goes on, you might think, maybe Kobbie Mainoo's going to be the player to play next to Declan Rice. But anyway, whatever. I do have long-term worries for Gallagher because I don't think he's a double pivot player. And if we do keep Pochettino at Chelsea and he insists on carrying on playing a 4-2-3-1, I know sometimes it's an asymmetrical 4-3-3, but for the sake of this argument, let's just say it's Pochettino stays, he keeps a 4-2-3-1. I don't like him in that double pivot role, and I do think genuinely we have so many better suited options for the number 10. You know, I think Carney Chukwuemeka might prove to be the best profile for that role. We will see. Of course, there's talented attacking players like Nkunku and Mudryk. We know Cole Palmer said himself he likes to play as a number 10. I'd say those four players possibly are better suited in some scenarios to play a number 10 than Gallagher. I ain't hating on Gallagher. I think he's excellent. He's like second best player of the season, or might drop to third depending on how Malo Gusto develops. Excellent player. I ain't, giving him grief at all. I'm just expressing my concerns about Conor Gallagher moving forwards. I don't want to see him in a double pivot unless we are playing in the cup and I don't know, I just don't want to see it personally. Maybe we'll get a new manager in the summer. Who knows, we might do, and they'll play a different formation where Conor will be perfect. Who knows? Regardless, a good player to have. Anyway, comment your thoughts down below in the comment section, please. I look forward to reading your thoughts on all this. And let's talk about Victor Osimhen. Journalist Rudy Galletti tweets this: Victor Osimhen is always a main target for Chelsea to strengthen the attack. An agreement with the player would not be a problem, as he would like to join Chelsea Football Club. As told, the English club is willing to meet his release clause, but it's only negotiating payment terms with Napoli. Tricky. So we hear the release clause is about 120, 130 million euros. Last summer, people speculated that was going to be like 150 million. So, fast forward a year, and if you heard it's potentially 30 million euros less, you'd be like, thank you very much. But there's a few things to consider here. Of course, his criteria just about matches the new sporting director's plan, being 25 or under. He's 25, so he's right on the money there. And we kind of are asking for a little bit more seniority in the front line. And we're not really getting what we want out of 29-year-old Sterling. And of course, 25-year-old or 26-year-old Nkunku is nowhere to be seen at the moment. He will be back. Right. Maybe Osimhen makes sense for that, but is this really what Chelsea want to spaff their money on? Of course, it will be payment terms of Aurelio De Laurentiis that would suit Chelsea, and this would almost certainly be a financial fair play, profit and sustainability rules, navigation plan. They'd sit down with De Laurentiis, which is the big boy over at Napoli, and say, look, we'll give you this money, and he wants to join Chelsea, so he'll come to us. You've got no issue with the player agreeing to go to their buying club, and we'll pay that money, but you've got to work with us here, we're in these sort of sets of criteria. You'll get the money. You'll get all the money, and it will be a steady flow of income, kind of the same way with Enzo Fernandez. So we paid 30 million euros for Enzo Fernandez up front, and then the structure to get it to 106 million is over many, many years. So it's kind of smart. Obviously, that's the opposite of what Arsenal did with Declan Rice. They paid 100 million up front, bang, there's all your money, and there's 5 million for add-ons for Declan Rice. But Arsenal were happy to do it. They had the money to do it. And ultimately, he's been a great acquisition for Arsenal. But it's just an example I'm using there how the deals were structured way differently. So Chelsea will be hoping they could do the same with Victor Osimhen. Play over a long period of time, make sure they're safe with FFP, PSR rules, sell a few of their academy products, try and sell Romelu Lukaku, etc., whether it's to Roma. He's also loosely being linked with Fenerbahce at the moment. And to be honest, personally, I could see Lukaku going to Turkish football. He could speak to his good friend Hakim Ziyech. The football culture out there is amazing. The fan support's amazing. Lukaku's that kind of player that needs fan support to, play well. I just don't think he'll go to Saudi just yet. So maybe he will go to Turkish football and Chelsea can get their £37 million for Romelu Lukaku. Tricky, tough. Will it happen? Let's bring it back to Victor Osimhen for a moment. Do I think this is worth it? Well, look, man, I like Nico Jackson. I think his value as a player is great. He has underperformed his expected goals tally, but he is in a difficult time at Chelsea. He seems like a good acquisition. A smart buy. 30-odd million quid for a player that can play on the wing. He can play up top. He works hard. He's got techers. Underrated techers, by the way, Nico Jackson. Even if he has silly moments. And he seems to be developing and growing as a player. Undeniably, bro. Remember the first half of the season, Nico Jackson literally lived offside. It was like a fun joke. He's not that guy anymore. Like, people aren't talking about him living offside anymore. He's just not doing it. Also, the yellow cards. The yellow cards for dissent. A card a game until he had that, ban for a few games. He's literally been riding that, one more yellow card until a ban for a long, long time. His discipline, both staying on side and discipline towards the referee and dissent and stuff, has improved dramatically. Which is great for a young player to happen so quickly in a new league, in a new country, in a new position-ish. It's good. But if you ask most Chelsea fans, look, you have an opportunity here to put Victor Osimhen in your starting lineup. You're not going to break any PSR rules, but Nico Jackson would have to ride the bench. I think, I'm going to stick my neck out and speculate to a degree here, I think most people would say, yeah, provided we're not going to break any financial rules, and hopefully we'll get back into Europe, fingers crossed, so there'll be more games for them to rotate. And, there'll be certain times when they can both be on the pitch together, I guess, maybe, right? Jackson's younger than Osimhen. He's 3 years younger, so he could be like the heir to the throne and, a few years down the line play more games than Osimhen maybe. We'll see what happens there. But, we don't have to think too long term here. We want to think right now, which is probably what Chelsea need more than ever because we've been performing badly right now. Is Osimhen going to make Chelsea better? I think so, profile-wise. Of course, he hasn't set the world alight this season in terms of his productivity. He wasn't great at AFCON particularly. And he's been underperforming, I guess, for Napoli. Of course, there was controversy with his club with the social media and TikTok videos. I reckon that probably contributed. I think injury as well. A lot of stuff, uncertainty. You do think maybe coming to Chelsea, of course, Drogba's his idol. He does like Chelsea. He's been pictured in Chelsea shirts as a kid. It's an opportunity for a rebirth to find that sensational form he was in before when he scored a bunch of goals. But I do think he'll be good because of his profile. He's a big boy striker, but he's mobile and he can win headers and he can get amongst it. He's an intelligent centre forward. Nico's not bad and he can occupy defenders, but he's a converted winger. Ultimately, Osimhen is a proper number 9, and I think that's what Chelsea need. I don't think necessarily he'll come to Chelsea and score insane amounts of goals, but it feels like a better time to not expect that. We expected that with Romelu Lukaku, we didn't get it. Do you know what I mean? So to look at him actually, how is he going to work with the team? We didn't do this with Lukaku, by the way, which was dumb, and we should have done. But because he wasn't our first choice mega money striker signing, Lukaku. It was, we can't get Harry Kane, we can't get Haaland. Yeah, let's get Lukaku. He's scoring loads of goals in Europe at the moment, and we could spin it as the return narrative. It wasn't an intelligent signing strategically and tactically, but Osimhen might be. They might look at Osimhen thinking actually the way he plays, he works very hard, and he can play back to goal as well as running into the space. Profile-wise, you're not necessarily buying him to guarantee loads and loads of goals. You're buying him because he will score goals, but he'll make the team better profile-wise. So I think, yeah, let's sign Osimhen. Anyway, let me know what you think. Comment down below. Thanks for joining me, guys. Thank you for supporting the content. As always, you can let me know you like it by dropping a like on the video. You're all welcome to subscribe if you want to. Hit the bell if you choose to. And I will hopefully see you guys back here very soon. Peace.